We ended up going to an orphanage, and I literally walked into this room full of cots, and it was like a lightning bolt. And I was like, what am I doing? Why on earth am I creating another baby when there are all these babies here that want to be loved? I just knew walking out of that room that I was going to adopt my child. They always say to you that you should be approved within 6 months to be an approved adopter.
Okay.
And that happened, but then they always say you then wait sort of up to a year before you're matched with a child. Whereas for me, on the day that I was approved, they were like, and there is a baby that we'll think is probably going to come to you, and she's due in, I think, like 3 or 4 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
If she ever says to me, I'd really like to meet them, I'd be like, absolutely, let's go.
Today on the Dear Mum podcast, we are chatting to the wonderful Louenna, or you may know her as Nanny Louenna. Many mums will have her book on their bookshelf. It's been on our bookshelf for the whole of series 1. I'm so thrilled that she came on this podcast today, talking us through her career as a nanny to the elite, but there is so much more to her than that. She made the decision to go through the adoption process as a single mum, and now has a beautiful daughter who is almost 3, and I can't tell you how wonderful it was to hear their bond and their story. I know you're going to love this conversation, and if you do, please don't forget to like, follow and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And just in case you hear a bit of noise in the background today, we have all the windows open in the studio because it is a heat wave and it's about 5,000 degrees in here, so just bear that in mind. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Louenna, thank you so much for coming.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
I couldn't believe it when I said, are you free on this day? And you just said yes.
I know, I couldn't believe it either.
Finding a date to do something together when you've got like 2 lots of kids and
childcare. I know, it all worked out.
It worked. So I'm so happy to have you here. But it is a heat wave and it is 1,000,000 degrees in here.
I know,
so
I'm melting.
if you're watching and we're shiny, then that is why. But first of all, before we start, I would love to hear your mum stats. So child, how old?
Yeah.
How would you describe her?
Okay, so I have Alice, and she is going to be 3 next week.
Is she really?
Yeah, it's her 3rd birthday next. Can you believe it? Just flown by. So I adopted Alice as a single parent, solo mum. And yeah, she's just the absolute light of my life. I just, no words to, how much I adore her. And she's wonderful and funny, and yeah, just made me the happiest person.
Oh my gosh, the best. I mean, I only see her a bit online and I'm just like, she's just so great. So I can well believe that. And you have grown up looking after, would you say hundreds?
Yeah, literally. I did a tally sort of years ago, and literally I've looked after over 100 babies and children.
Wow.
In my career.
Wow. So what age were you when you did your nanny training?
So I went to the Norland Nanny College when I was 18. I'd already worked for a year as a nanny before that. I always knew that I wanted to be a nanny. That was it. Yeah, honestly, from about the age of 7, I just wanted to be a nanny. And
that's so interesting because I think a lot of young kids are like, I want to be a mum.
Yeah.
You just want to be a nanny.
I wanted to be a nanny.
Interesting.
Yes. And, children were just I just loved children, always gravitated towards them. If anyone had a baby, I would just hover by them because I wanted to be near the baby. And I'm the oldest of 4.
Okay.
So I think, maybe that played a part. And I decided that I wanted to go to, training, proper nanny school training. And
there's one Norland nanny school.
Yes,
in Bath?
in Bath. Yeah, I
Okay.
went down to Bath. Yeah, so started off. So did my A-levels, looked after 3 children locally for sort of nearly a year, and then went off to do my training. So yeah, it was great.
And it's I have only learnt about it recently, but there's like a certain uniform you have to wear. Like it feels very traditional.
Yeah, quite Mary Poppins-esque.
Did you like that side of things?
Yeah, I mean, it takes a bit of getting used to. I think because there's all the other girls around you, you felt like you're a bit of a team. But yeah, certainly to begin with, you'd be walking through Bath, city centre, and everyone would be like, "Oh, what's going on here?"
So
But
fun. I think it's very smart.
Yeah.
And did you have to do work experience throughout your training there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so throughout the whole 2 years, you did a week in placement and then a week in college. So it also, I think it might be completely different now, to be honest, but that's what it was like when
Because
we
a
were
friend
there.
of mine lives in Bath, and when she had her youngest, she took on one of the Norland nannies as a placement, and it was like a very good price. She was like, guys, it's so good. I've got this full-time nanny, basically. I was like, oh, how amazing.
I think a lot of families around, we used to babysit all the time, and there'd be a jobs board, and so we'd all be, it was great. It was really good. Just lots of hands-on experience.
And then did you have a specific age that you liked working with? Was it the tiny babies?
I just loved the babies. Always the babies, especially like newborns. But that first year, and lots of my jobs, you know, I sort of had like 3 full-time jobs that I went on to have, but they always started with the baby, and then I grew with the family.
Like, wow, so you'd stay for years.
Yeah.
And that's what you'd like, to be part of the family.
Yeah, and I think it's so special when you grow with a child. So I think, you know, you have that mutual sort of bond, and it's much harder to go into a family with older children. And of course, it can still be, you know, wonderful. But I just think if you can grow with them, it's really magical.
Yeah, and I imagine then you're such a big part of their life. So we started with a nanny last year.
Okay.
I'd never had one before.
Yeah.
Growing up, we used to have au pairs.
Yes.
And so they'd come and go each year.
Yes.
We'd have different people, and loved it as well. But I was doing all the maths and actually sending 2 to nursery.
Yeah.
Working out to be more expensive
than having a nanny. Yeah.
And actually, my husband travels so much that I thought having somebody helping me in the house would actually be really great.
There are definitely like lots of positives to, you know, going into nursery, because as you say, they can do things in the house. So we would prepare meals and you could do the washing, and whereas if you send a child to nursery, you've obviously got all of the other stuff to come back to as well.
So there's so many different things, because then the child has the social aspect of things too.
Yes.
And I was really toying between the 2 ideas, but it's been really life-changing for me to have another adult on my team.
Yes.
You know, like when Georgia's away, she cooks them dinner and then she'll just leave a bit more for me, because she
Yes.
knows that I will be in that night.
Yeah.
And she'll get them in their pajamas before I get home from work.
Yeah.
It has been amazing.
That's
but
good.
Darcy knows no different.
No. Yeah.
She came when Darcy was 5 months, I think.
Okay.
She's upped her hours ever since. But for all Darcy knows, that she's just
having this
part
other
of our family.
person.
And at Christmas, I remember saying, "Oh, well, the family's here," and she said, "No." So we're missing, and it's just
sweet.
I think it's really special. I know that however long she'll stay with us, she'll be in our lives forever.
Yeah.
You must have
lots of children who are now kind of, you know, early 20s, some of them, and you know, one twins that I looked after from the day they were born. They've just done their GCSEs, and you know, they FaceTime me all the time, and it's just amazing. It's a really
they were born.
Well, I started with the family, and they had a baby, and then pregnant with twins, and so I started with the twins the day they were born.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And have you ever worked with a family that asked you to do something like crazy? Like, I've heard a friend who was a nanny, and she was asked to go on a helicopter ride for someone's birthday to be the nanny to look after the children.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've had all of that. I've had quite an experience as a nanny. Yeah, I really took it as a career.
Yeah.
And I've been all over the world, and I have seen some crazy stuff. I mean, I've done several of my jobs. You know, the families had their own helicopter. One had 3 helicopters.
Because one's
private
just not enough.
plane. Well, exactly. And yeah, they actually used to say that you know, if the journey in a car was longer than 20 minutes, just take the helicopter.
No.
Yeah, crazy. I used to get flown home in a helicopter. You
What,
know, because
just after your shift?
yeah, after my shift. So they obviously, these families are, you know, busy, and so you do work really hard for these types of families. And sometimes I wouldn't have a day off for, you know, 3 or 4 weeks, but they'd always say, you know, okay, if you can just do an extra day for me, you know, we'll fly you home so you get that extra bit of time at home. And yeah, so there are definite perks, but I would say that you do have to work really hard to get those kind of perks from a family.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so exciting.
I know.
All these amazing memories.
I wish I could share more stories, but I feel like, you know, confidentiality is a big thing for nannies.
That is, you know, that's what they pay for essentially as well, don't they?
Yeah.
That's amazing. And then you wanted to go on and become a mum yourself.
Yes, yeah.
And so how long into nanny? Actually, wait, we need to pause. We need to go back a bit, because you stopped nannying and took all of your nannying knowledge online, didn't you?
Yeah, put it onto an app called the Louenna app.
And that's how we have a mutual friend, but that's how I first came about you, because I needed your app.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so I set up an Instagram page about 10 or 11 years ago, and I just used to post one piece of advice every day. And people kept saying, I wish that you were our nanny. And so I was thinking, well, I can only nanny for one family at a time. And I was thinking, actually, where can I put all of my advice, you know, so that everyone can get my advice if they want it? And I thought people loved the Instagram thing because they can hear me, they can see me, I can do a little 30-second demonstration. Yep. So that's where the idea for the app came. So that
it's honestly amazing.
Thank you.
I don't know whether it's your slogan or whether it's just what I tell everybody. It's like having a nanny in your pocket.
Yeah.
Anything you need. That's the problem with Instagram.
Yeah.
You can't search on your page for, I want to know about a sleep regression or
Yes.
what to put them in the heat wave.
Exactly.
But on the app, you can search for
You
it.
can just search for it all. So anything, if your child wakes up with chicken pox and you're like, God, I wonder what Louenna would do. You can just search for it and it will come up. But as you say, with babies and children, they go through these developmental changes
when you put it on
all
Instagram,
the
you
time.
might not need it at that time.
Yes, no. So yeah.
No, it's amazing. And then I also got in touch because it's actually very fitting because it was in a heat wave. My middle one, Barney,
Yeah.
he just stopped feeding in a heat wave.
Okay.
And then he would feed all night.
Right.
And then the
okay.
next day, not at all. And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
at
yeah.
night. And actually then you put me in touch with one of your
Consultations.
and she was amazing. She just said to me, Charlie, he's taking you for a ride.
Yeah.
He is not eating in the day because he thinks I'll just snack at night.
Yeah,
And I
exactly,
remember her
yeah.
saying that to me, and I thought, he is.
Yes.
He's completely doing that. And
Yeah.
she managed to help me turn it around so quickly.
So
and it was
fast.
something so simple that I just hadn't thought
Yeah.
about, and little tweaks. And honestly, I just
Well, it's so easy for us, looking in from the outside. So we do consultations every day for families, and they'll ring and they're like, I don't know what to do. And then you'll say, just describe what's happening. And then it's so easy to look in and go, well, if you just tweak that and that. And then they're like,
so tired.
you're so
and
tired.
emotional.
Exactly. And you feel like I think you feel like it's going to take so much to get out of the rut or whatever you're in. And actually, we're like, honestly, change a few things, and 24 hours later, you're going to see a massive difference.
Honestly, and he is our best sleeper.
Is he?
Yeah. And I'm like, I know that it's because we got in there really early. But anyway, that's how we got in touch. And now you've got so many different hats that you wear, don't you?
I know. I'm
so
pretty
what
busy
else
at the moment.
is Nanny Louenna doing?
So we've got the app that's still running. I bought out my book, So
Yes,
Your
you
Baby's
did.
First Year, right here. Ta-da!
See how well used
I love it. I love that.
It's been well used, and it's been given to my sister.
Oh,
it's
that's
been passed
kind.
around, which I
That's
always
so
think is so
nice.
good for books, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really great, and I love hearing that. And I think that the idea for the book is that I wanted it to go alongside the app. You don't have one or the other. You can have both. The idea of the book is that you just open one page a day, and for that day, this is what I could do today with my baby. It's just giving you that inspiration, talking about what might be going on with them at that age. So a little bit different to a normal baby book, but a good,
So good. And also,
present.
book can just be around. Some people don't want an app; they're not on.
No,
the phones or
yeah.
it's a good gift to give someone.
It's a
too,
really
isn't
good
it?
gift. And
I
it means
love
you don't have to read the book cover to cover and then
Yes.
forget what's in it.
Because absolutely,
it's just
we
that.
don't have time for that.
No way. That's what I felt. So that's the book. And then we have a nanny agency. So that's Louenna's Nannies. So we have some amazing nannies, going out to jobs every day. And we have recently just launched the Nanny Academy. So we're going to be
Which is
training
so
nannies
exciting.
ourselves. Yeah. Really, really excited about this. I'm doing it with a fellow nanny, and she's amazing, Jess. And we're gonna train elite nannies.
You're gonna be training them.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, 12-week intense course, starting in January. We want really passionate, nannies who want to take this to the next level. And
I feel like you said, you chose it to be your career.
Yes.
Rather than a babysitter to
Yes,
a nanny.
exactly.
And then just accidentally happen.
Yeah.
Because that was me. I did a lot of nannying.
Yeah.
But it was never my career.
No.
Although it was very close to being.
Really?
One of my families, I used to look after their twins.
Okay.
When they were 5 months in my holidays from university.
Right, okay.
And then I did a whole summer with them.
Yeah.
And the mum offered me a really good deal to not go back to university,
no way.
basically. And it was very close.
Yeah, there you
But I
go.
loved
But it
and I was
wasn't.
part of their family. And now they're old.
Yeah.
They're old, but
Time flies.
they still send me pictures of what they're doing and the
that's
little teddy bear that I
nice.
gave them. And I can see
Look
how
what could have been.
I know. It's so lovely. But
yeah.
I think that's amazing. So
Yeah.
you're going to do a 12-week course.
12 course, so it's really aimed at those students who want to take it to the next level. The kind of families we were just talking about, the elite families who really need a nanny to come and be top notch. We're not talking about going in to just be with the children to make sure they're safe. We're talking about really excelling at giving everything to that child. Yes, exactly.
Wow.
So that'll be really good and really practical course. So I think that's so important. I feel like we've gone way too sort of into sitting in a classroom and learning through that way. And I think that actually we need to be much more practical. And I want nannies to be able to walk into a family home and go, yeah, I can wean a baby. Yeah, I can make the purees. Yes, I can potty train. I
Oh
think
my
that's,
God, this is so exciting.
So, yeah, that's
and you get
how
to
you-
sort of do that side of things again. Because I feel like when you build a business, you end up doing a lot more admin than you do the bits that you love.
Yeah, exactly.
So this gets sort of scratch that itch again for
I
you.
know.
Oh my God, that's so exciting.
So that's incredible.
And then
Yes.
you decided you wanted to do the motherhood thing yourself.
Yes, yeah. I mean, always knew that I wanted to be a mum. But weirdly, I never got that kind of, I think a lot of my friends went through the kind of, oh my God, I'm desperate for a baby now. I really want a baby. And I was like, I think I was so happy looking after other people's children. And time flies. I mean, I was probably about 36, 37, and I still felt like I was 25. You feel like you've just got all this time in the world, don't you? And then I was really happily working still, really high profile families, loving it, felt like I was like at the top of my job. And then Chris Evans, I used to listen to him on the radio every morning, and he said, you've got to think that you're 90 years old and you're looking back on your life. What do you regret? And I thought, oh my gosh, if I don't have a baby and don't become a mum, and suddenly in 10 years' time, if suddenly I'm 45, 47 and I haven't done it, I will really regret this. So although I'm having the time of my life, I actually feel like I need to do this, concentrate on it. And I was single. I know. Thank you, Chris Evans. So that's where it all kind of spiraled from. I was obviously single, so went down exploring all the different routes, and very much looked into the sperm donor thing. Actually chose a sperm donor, paid for treatment, really got that far into it. And then I did this huge appeal for Ukraine when the war broke out. It just went bonkers. Yeah, it was something that was completely unplanned, but ended up being amazing.
These giant lorries out the front of your house.
I know. I mean, madness.
It was incredible.
And then through that, we ended up going to an orphanage, and I literally walked into this room full of cots. And it was like a lightning bolt. And I was like, what am I doing? Why on earth am I creating another baby when there are all these babies here that want to be loved? I knew that I could love somebody else's child because
You'd done that all your life.
Absolutely loved other people's children, through my nanny and career. And that was it. I just knew walking out of that room that I was going to adopt my child.
Oh my goodness, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it was. And then I tried to actually adopt from that orphanage because I felt like it was, maybe meant to be, but they wouldn't let me because I didn't have any, heritage from that country. Yeah, so I wrote to the embassy and everything, nothing.
Gosh, that's so hard to, you're like, I'm here waiting to adopt one of these children.
Yeah, there was a little girl who I picked up. She was 9 months old. And she was lifeless in her cot. I actually thought she was asleep, and then I looked in the cot and I was like, oh my gosh, she's awake, and she was just laying there. And they said, oh, we're a bit worried about her. She's not really, doing very much. And so I just spent like 10 minutes with her. And honestly, by the end of that 10 minutes, she was smiling at me. She was copying, like blowing bubbles at me. I've got video footage of it. And I would have honestly adopted her and her older sister, but they wouldn't let me.
They wouldn't let you?
No. So,
gosh, that's crazy. I mean, I get that they have to have rules in place for safety, but when it comes to that,
when they're laying in cots in these awful, deprived, it was in Moldova. The orphanage was in Moldova, and it was really sad. However, I have to look on the bright side, and that the other path led me to my Alice.
Yes.
And I do think that Alice and I were meant to be. She has got some funny little quirks. Her favourite movie in the world is Mary Poppins. And I'm like, oh my God, meant to be mine.
That's so sweet.
Everyone says that she looks like me.
She does. She really does.
Funny, I know.
And so you went home from that trip, and then you're like, right, let's get the ball rolling.
Yeah, so I literally cancelled all my treatment with the sperm donor thing. Lost a lot of money, but I was like, no, this is fine.
When you know, you know.
Yeah. And then I literally just, actually the adoption thing is hard because there are so many different routes. You can go through an agency, you can go through your local sort of council, and that's what I ended up doing actually. I did look into adopting through an American sort of agency, but if I'm honest, I felt a little bit like I was buying a baby.
Right.
There was like several phone calls that I had with them. Every phone call was like £500, £600, and I thought this is not right for me. So ended up just going to a meeting in Cambridge on a Thursday evening. The room was filled with people, and I still think about that room now because I look around.
They were parents.
They were prospective. It was kind of an open evening. Like if you're thinking of going through adoption,
I see.
Come for an open evening,
right.
Yeah. And so we all sat there and just listening to someone speaking about the process of adoption. And I often think now, I wonder how many people in that room went on to actually adopt. But the process was pretty quick for me, to be honest.
So do you say, because I have no idea, so I'm going to ask some silly questions probably, but do you say, I want a baby, or I want a girl, or do you specify all of those things?
Very much say that. So I went into the adoption in the UK thinking that I would never have a newborn because obviously children are put into foster care before they are adopted. And I'd heard that a lot. And then they said there is something called foster to adopt. And so you can be approved as a foster carer and an adopter. And then it means that you can foster this child. If they have a child that they know will be adopted in the long term,
right,
then they will put them with a foster to adopt placement. So for the child, it means that hopefully they never get moved. And all it means is that you're fostering them in the eyes of the law to begin with
because you kept her name quiet for a while, didn't you?
Yes.
Is that because you were technically fostering her?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And so while I was fostering her, she wasn't mine. There were certain rules. I couldn't take her abroad. I couldn't obviously show her on social media, couldn't release her name, and everything. So so that was all.
Wow. So what age did you get
her? So she arrived at 3 days old. Yeah. So
did you get the call like 3 days before that saying the baby's been born?
No. So when you're approved as an adopter, so you go through all of the the kind of rigorous checks and everything and training, and it was quite funny because I had to do the training. And I was kind of like,
I know more than you.
I don't know how to look after a baby, but I'll go through this. That's fine. Tick off the box. But they always say to you that you should be approved within 6 months to be an approved adopter.
Okay.
And that happened. But then they always say you then wait sort of up to a year before you're matched with a child. Whereas for me, on the day that I was approved, they were like, and there is a baby that we'll think is probably going to come to you. And she's due in, I think, like 3 or 4 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
Well, they didn't say she. They said the baby is due in 3 or 4 weeks. And so then you get a bit of a sort of blurb on, birth parents, and you basically accept or say no. And I said yes.
Oh my goodness. And the rest is history.
Yeah. And so she arrived to me at 3 days old. She was obviously born. And then
so you didn't go to the hospital or anything like that?
No. I was actually meant to go to the hospital to pick her up, but birth mum, very sadly, was delaying her leaving, and they didn't want me to go and take her off birth mum, obviously. So they said, do you mind if we bring her to you? So she arrived on Friday at 6 o'clock. And I would say you was dropped off by the stork.
Oh,
and
yeah, that was another thing I was going to ask you. So have you been sort of slowly telling her a bit about her story?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm totally open and honest with her.
Lovely.
Obviously, I don't talk about adoption all the time because I want her to feel like she's mine. She's not actually talking yet, so she has got global development delay, which sounds quite a big statement, but actually what it means is that she is delayed in 2 or more of her sort of, developmental things. So she's had some issues with her gross motor, but she is walking, and she's very late to talk. Well, not very late to talk, but she's later to talk, but that's all coming too. So she can't say to me at the moment, anything about ask me.
And she's sort of understanding what you're saying.
Yeah, and she absolutely understands what I say. And so if something comes up naturally about adoption, we were watching something on CBeebies, and there was something about an owl being adopted. Oh, wow. And I just said, oh, just like you. And we've got several friends that or friends that we sort of people we knew, and actually they were like, oh yeah, I was adopted. Wow. And I'd never known that about them before. And so I just talk about it really openly.
I think that's lovely.
Yeah, I mean, it is her story.
Yeah.
It is, I didn't carry her and I didn't give birth to her, but I am her mum. Mm-hmm. But she does also have, another birth family.
So what are the rules, or is it up to you about being in touch with the birth parents?
Well, I think every single situation with any adoptive child is very, very different, and that's something I've learned, along the way. With Alice's birth parents, I did meet them several times in that time period where she was being fostered. Mm-hmm. And the first time I met them, I was obviously so nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be awful. And then I walked in the room and I realized that they were thinking exactly the same. I mean, it's such a sad situation, and people say to me all the time, Alice is so lucky, and I'm like, yeah, but no child wants to be adopted. It is one of those.
She's lucky to have been adopted by you.
Absolutely, and I hope she feels that. But I do think that it's a very tricky thing, and I'm sure we'll go through stages in life where it is hard for her. In her situation, we're very lucky. There was no drugs or alcohol involved. It's just a very sad situation. So I have absolutely no qualms if she ever says to me, I'd really like to meet them. I'd be like, absolutely, let's go, And I'm so lucky that I met them, because I know now not to be
afraid of that.
But I know that every situation is very different. Other people that have adopted are from far worse reasons, and I think they probably wouldn't want their children to meet birth parents. So that's more tricky.
I guess you just have to tackle these things.
Yeah, as and
as
when.
they come up. Yeah.
And I think because I'm so into the sort of adoption world now, and I listen to podcasts from people who have been adopted, that's a really interesting insight. And some of them are just like, I have had the best life. I'm so grateful to be adopted because my family were amazing and they are my family, and I'm so happy. And then other people are like, it ate away at me. I was just, I wanted to know, so I think it's just who they are, and I'm all open for it.
And as Alice grows up, you'll figure out which one she is.
And all I can do is be the best mum in the world to her, and I'm enjoying it so much. So I feel so lucky that she's mine and I get to be her mum.
It's amazing. And how do you feel differently about, obviously when you were nannying children, you loved them and you cared for them. Do you feel like there's more emotion now when you're looking after Alice, or does it feel like your knowledge and experience is still very helpful? Because I found like I nannied and babysat for tons of children, but then suddenly when it was mine, it was like
very different.
I lost all perspective. It was like, oh my God, he's got a temperature, what am I going to do?
Yeah, so I'm not like that, but I think that's probably for two reasons. I think one is that when I was nannying, I wasn't just doing 8 till 6. I was literally living with these babies. I was doing everything that a mum would. I was up with them through the night, and so I had actually done all the scary stuff as well. And I became the person who the parents would be like, well, what do we do? So so I kind of had that knowledge, I think.
Yeah, an experience of real life
I've
situations.
been through all that temperature stuff and the scary things, and I've been through potty training 25 times. And, so I think I'm very different to most parents. Also, I do think I didn't give birth. I didn't go through that hormone change.
Yeah, that's true.
And I do think that probably plays a part in it. She was handed to me. I felt great.
Yeah, I was thinking that the newborn, the fourth trimester.
Oh my God, it was
you
amazing.
weren't recovering physically from something.
We were off. I was off. I was driving around.
Yeah.
It was like me and her. And so that has to make a difference.
Yes. Well, I had someone else on the podcast, Charlie Watson, who has had 2 boys through surrogacy. And she said the same.
Yeah.
She welcomed the new baby in and then went for a run the next morning. And,
totally. I was hosting people.
Yeah.
It was wonderful, So that's the difference.
Yeah, that does make sense.
And I do just have that confidence. And so I have just really been able to enjoy her.
I love the way you talk about mothering her, just is so full of joy. And obviously you're honest about some of the things are hard and things, but it's so nice because I think so often online we're too scared to be only showing the highlights that we end up showing too much negativity. And then actually people like, you sound grateful. And it's really tricky to find the balance, but I really love following your journey parenting Alice, because I think you can just tell you guys have the best time. You've got a pony in your garden.
I've got a Shetland pony in my garden. I mean, it's funny because I guess because I'm a solo parent and it's just her and I, it is quite unique, We just bumble around together.
I love it. You're like 2 little best friends that just live such a fun life together.
And I've got a little sausage dog, Tess. And so I guess I'm like creating that family and lots of people around. And
but you can absolutely tell that she is having the best time too.
Yeah, I hope so.
It's so nice. And I was asking you before we were recording, but if you were to adopt again, you said you would go only for a biological sibling.
Yeah, I think that's my decision at the moment. I mean, listen, life takes you in all different directions. Yeah. Who knows what is around the corner? But I think my thinking at the moment is that I won't look to go down the adoption route again unless she maybe had a biological sibling that came, was up for adoption.
And would there be like a cutoff in terms of, if it was in 15 years' time? You're like,
I'll be old then,
I can't do it now.
I don't know if they'd let me.
Do you know? But I feel like you'd still be brilliant to do it. But actually,
I feel like
you need to give yourself a cutoff.
I went through a bit of a stage, I think about 6 months ago, where I was like, a lot of my friends who had children the same age as Alice were then having their second. And I was like, I'm not. But I'm fine with that. But I feel like Alice would love a sibling. Actually, that's not true. That's not true, actually. I actually don't think that Alice would love a sibling because she's so attached to me. But I feel like in later life, I've got 3 brothers who I adore and we're really close. So therefore, I would worry that she'll miss out on that. But then she's going to have cousins.
That's what I was going to say, cousins. Yeah. And if you say lots of your friends are having their seconds, then she's not by herself, is she?
She's not. I know. So I did go through a lot of not sleepless nights, but I kept thinking about it. Should I, shouldn't I? And then I just think, do you know what? I always feel like in my life, things come to me at the right time. And so why am I worrying about something that is not really in my...
Also, you can't make her birth parents have another child, can you?
Exactly.
So if that's the rule you've set for yourself, then you just have to see. Yes. But I've spoken to another guest on here, Georgia, about having one child and how you always feel like you have to justify it to people.
Having one.
Well, actually, no, it's only because of this. And actually, having one child is a perfectly great decision.
I know. And I do think there's actually a lot of my friends, when I think about our area, and there are quite a few people now that do have just one child
having
for all different
babies
reasons.
is so expensive. And actually, life doesn't always allow
and it's
it.
not easy for everybody, is it? So it's...
No.
So I don't feel like she's on her own as a single
No, and you're
child.
not having a miserable time and need another baby to add some,
No,
you're having a great time.
And it's so bizarre because I grew up as one of 4 and I've always worked for families who have all these children. One of my families had 5 children. I just loved it. I love sitting around a table with all the children around. I think that's just amazing. I mean, I've seen, your 3. It is
lovely.
amazing, and you're all looking in.
But it's carnage.
Yeah, it's
so when we hired our nanny in the interview, I was like, why do you want to look after lots of other people's children? And so today it's 5 million degrees, and I'm seeing the WhatsApps coming through that she's like, I'm going to take them for an ice cream, I'm going to do this. And I think I get home and I'm like, well done. You survived, because a heat wave day with 3 kids. But I have to remind myself, she's chosen this job because she wants to do it. Exactly.
It's not, it's just, I just love children. So the more the merrier, I guess.
I'm just really gutted already because I'm thinking, oh God, when the kids all go to school, like,
then
how can I keep her? Like, I need to have another baby just to keep her. No, it's amazing. I think the work that nannies do is just incredible.
I do, and I think it's so important. I think people, like when I was in my career, some people go, oh, you're just a nanny. And I was like, oh, I feel like I have a huge role to play in someone's childhood.
Yeah.
People are going to look back on their childhood and remember me.
A huge role.
I'm a huge role model, and
But there are some weeks, and I feel awful about it, where their kids spend more time with her than they do me. If it's a really bit like today, they will hardly see me because I left before 2 of them woke up.
But you've left them with someone who was putting them first.
I feel so happy.
Yeah,
and I often message her that because, if they're at nursery, if they've got a tiny temperature, they can't go in.
No.
Whereas I will sometimes leave her with 2 kids who are snotty, and I know that they're going to have a lovely day
and be loved and cared for in their home environment. And I think a nanny can play a really big role in a child's life.
Yeah, I mean, it's cost us an arm and a leg, but she's really helped our whole family, because it means that George and I don't spend every single evening tidying the whole house, because she's done a bit here and there.
Exactly.
And
that's how I feel about the Nanny Academy. We want to help the whole family. We will very much advocate for that. You if you're helping parents, you're also helping the children, because if you've got happy parents, you're going to have happier children.
100%.
So it is the nanny doesn't just look after the children. There's a lot that goes
part
with
of the family.
it.
Oh, it's just amazing. Now we've got to round it up, because 1, we're melting into these chairs, and 2, I could just keep going forever. But I always ask the guests to write something on a Post-it note for another mum, all the mums, to leave on their fridge to sort of make their day a bit better.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't think you can even read this, to be honest. Okie dokie. Great.
What have we got?
I've said, if this won't matter in 6 months' time, it's not worth worrying about now.
I like that.
And that is something that has really, really helped me in life in general, but also a lot with children, because there's so much that goes wrong, and there's so much, even something really little, like you're running late and you're really stressed because the children are arguing in the back, and it's like you're stuck at the traffic lights and you're like, I just need to get there. And then if you just think, if we're 10 minutes late today, who is going to remember this in 6 months' time?
Yeah.
No one. So let's not worry about it now.
Because you were literally writing my life when you're in the car and they're all shouting and wanting snacks, and you think, you keep looking at the clock and it's just going up and up and up. You're so right.
Yeah, and it works. I've used it a lot in different situations, stressful situations. I'm like, no one will remember this in 6 months. Yeah. So I'm not going to stress about it now.
I love that. Yes, all parents need to hear that. So thank you. And thank you for coming on today and being so open about your journey as a nanny, as an adoption. Yeah. It's been so interesting.
Good.
So
well, thank you for having me.
You're an amazing mum. And I can't believe she's going to be 3.
Neither can I.
Wild.
Cinderella party next Saturday.
Yeah. Oh my God, I can't wait to see all the pictures. Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie.